For our first real video on this channel, we thought we'd cover a topic that has a bit of a connection to Baltic Defence Review, taking a look at how and why the New Zealand Defence Forces, or NZDF, selected the Mars L from US manufacturer Lewis Machine & Tool, or LMT. How in the world is this related to Baltic Defence, you ask? Well, Estonians will be familiar with Lewis Machine & Tool, since the company supplies the Estonian Defence Forces with service rifles in the form of the R20 Rahe. But the NZDF was a few years ahead of Estonia and was indeed LMT's first standard-issue fleet customer. And so, about 10 years since the first Mars L delivery to the Kiwis, let's take a closer look at New Zealand's AR pattern service rifles, the weapons they replaced, and the competition that it beat to win the contract. And so we rewind back to June 2014, when then Defence Minister Jonathan Coleman announced that the government had given approval for the NZDF to seek a replacement for the Steyr rifle. On the topic, Coleman was quoted as saying, "The Steyr rifle has served the NZDF well for over 20 years, and it has seen considerable operational use, but it is now reaching the end of its lifespan. Weapon technology has advanced considerably since the NZDF purchased the Steyr rifle in 1987. Coleman then goes on to explain how modern rifles can be adapted to individual needs, fitted with a range of advanced day and night sights and other specialized equipment, and can also be adjusted to suit different body sizes and for the wearing of personal kit. He then stated that NZDF operational experience in Afghanistan and Timor-Leste highlighted the importance of effectively identifying and engaging targets in various settings. On the topic of operational experience, reporting from the New Zealand Herald called the outgoing rifle hated by Kiwi soldiers. Collecting reactions to the news of a coming replacement, this is what some, claiming to be serving or former soldiers, had to say about the Steyr being replaced. "It is a highly overrated assault rifle, and if given the choice, I would rather throw stones at the enemy than carry that stoppage-prone piece of crap." Another said, "The accuracy on my issued rifle was terrible. I'd have been lucky to hit the side of a barn." Radio New Zealand said that the Defence Force had had issues with the Steyr for years, and the firearm was found to be ineffective at sighting targets and firing at ranges greater than 200 metres. Indeed, troops fighting overseas found the rifles to be underpowered and were reportedly prone to jams in harsh environments like Afghanistan. Some, reacting to the decision, were skeptical of the Steyr's shortcomings, instead blaming performance issues on the fact that the rifles were 20 to 30 years old and had been extensively used over that lengthy period of time. From this comment, we can assume that the person who wrote it would have preferred the same Steyr rifles, but brand new. But this was not to be. Getting back to the procurement story, the government gave approval for the Ministry of Defence to conduct a competitive tender process to purchase an off-the-shelf rifle to replace the Steyr with a new fleet of up to 8,800 rifles and associated accessories. The NZDF would go on to trial shortlisted weapons against the NZDF user requirements, and a recommendation was to be made to Cabinet in 2015. According to the Firearm blog, rifles from the following companies were selected to participate in trials: Beretta New Zealand, Česká Zbrojovka, Colt Canada, FN Herstal, Steyr Mannliche, X-Tech Limited, representing Sig Sauer, Heckler & Koch, and of course Lewis Machine & Tools. No media reports mentioned the specific models, and even AI told us that it couldn't find anything. However, we did find a list, again proving that AI still can't be fully trusted, even with simple searches. Indeed, thanks to the efforts of one Mr. Carl Gaylard in submitting an Official Information Act, or OIA, request, the full list was published as a response to his inquiry. And so the following rifles, along with associated 40mm grenade launchers, were assessed in a comparative evaluation in 2015. Beretta ARX 160A3-2, CZ807, Colt Canada C7/C8 IUR, FN Scar L, Steyr Mannliche AUG A3, Sig Sauer 516, Heckler & Koch 416 A5, and finally the LM8 CQB by Lewis Machine & Tool. The OIA response also included details about testing, and it was stated that the trials took place over 3 months and involved a comprehensive range of tests including both practical firing and technical analysis. 20 personnel drawn from the three services participated as the primary users, and they fired all rifles in all conditions, including whilst wearing and utilizing all operational equipment, from body armor, cold weather clothing, air and sea clothing, and full-face respirators. Technical and scientific support to the evaluation was provided by the Defence Technology Agency, or DTA, and evaluation criteria were as follows. 1. Suitability effectiveness, determining the ability of the NZDF to support and maintain each rifle for the duration of its anticipated service life if selected. This also considered in-service support arrangements, price and technical and service information compliance. 2. Mission effectiveness, extensive testing of technical weapon performance characteristics such as accuracy over various distances, terminal ballistics, muzzle flash, weight distribution and acoustics. Testing was conducted using the rifle/grenade launcher combination and the grenade launcher in standalone mode. It was added that human factors were also assessed, which rated the performance of the rifles in various environmental conditions and in the role-specific situations of weapon operators from the Army, Navy and Air Force. Firing was undertaken at ranges out to 600 meters, with technical accuracy evaluations undertaken at 100, 300 and 600 meters. All rifles were treated equally, including routine user cleaning and maintenance. Reliability and other issues that arose were examined during all phases. It's added that, following the conclusion of the trials process, more ammunition was fired to verify durability. The OIA letter then says that due to significant commercial sensitivity around the details of how each rifle performed in the evaluations, that specific information had been withheld. And so in December 2015, then Defence Minister Gerry Brownlee announced that Cabinet approved the purchase of new rifles to re-equip the Defence Force 28 years after the Steyr 5.56mm rifle was introduced. The new rifle with the NZDF would be called the Modular Assault Rifle System Light, or MARS-L. The $59 million New Zealand deal with Lewis Machine & Tools included the rifles, sights, support weapons and training equipment. Brownlee was quoted as saying, "Our personnel operate by day and night in conditions ranging from the jungle to deserts to built-up areas. The new rifle has an open architecture that allows it to mount different sights and other equipment depending on the operational situation." Mr. Brownlee then says, "Perhaps the strongest endorsement is that our own Special Forces will also use the LMT. Previously, they've used different rifles to the Army. They observed the trials carefully and liked what they saw." Adding a little more detail about the selection, that OIA response letter concluded by saying that the reason for selecting the Lewis Machine & Tools rifle was that the LM8 CQB consistently rated the highest across the range of evaluation criteria, and this was what informed the eventual decision to select this rifle over the others. And so by the end of 2017, the MARS-L would be fully phased in, with over 9,000 of these assault rifles said to have been tested individually and accepted for introduction into service. Unfortunately, that's not the complete end to our story, as it was reported that issues emerged, including with the all-important firing pin. The New Zealand Herald adds that other issues cropped up as about 130 rifles showed cracks around the mechanism which houses the bolt. NZDF confirmed the reports and said identified issues were the firing pins, trigger mechanisms and cracked bolt carriers, adding, "During introduction into service training, a number of firing pins suffered breakages, and to ensure all rifles are now at the highest standard, LMT has replaced all firing pins under warranty." The NZDF statement then added that root cause testing found some variations in the hardness of the metal firing pins, and a new inspection procedure was developed and tested which gave the NZDF a higher assurance that the pins were heat-treated evenly. We aren't letting LMT off the hook by any means, but it makes sense that New Zealand's Defence Forces would be encountering such issues. That's because the NZDF order was the largest ever to be filled by the company, having only secured much smaller defence contracts in the past. And so you'd think LMT would have perfected its mass production processes for Estonia, but the Baltic nation experienced issues with the 7.62mm designated marksman rifles acquired from the American company. According to ERR, the main issue was a failing gas system, and so, under warranty, all 7.62mm caliber rifles had their gas blocks replaced and additional firing tests were carried out on the barrels to confirm accuracy standards. And even though this is somewhat old news, it's something we'll need to cover in a Baltic Defence Review video in the near future. But getting back to Mars L used by the Kiwis, the New Zealand Herald said in 2018 that, despite early issues, commanders and soldiers gave rave reviews of the weapon. The Defence Minister at the time added that the manufacturer had been, quote, incredibly responsive and proactive in fixing the issues. And so we're glad that we can more or less end on a positive note for New Zealand's choice of service rifle. For what it's worth, it's our understanding that most Estonians are happy with their LMT rifles too. That's the end of our very first Tasman Defence Review video, and so we hope you enjoyed it. With this channel's extremely early age, we hope you'll consider subscribing, and it of course helps us out greatly if you're willing to give us a thumbs up. Leaving a comment would be fantastic as well. We'd be particularly interested in hearing from Kiwis about their current thoughts and feelings towards the Mars L and how it replaced an iconic bullpup. And so if you have any suggestions for future topics, we would love to hear about those as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.